Thanks for joining us for our NFL Week 5 review here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Plenty to unpack. Smaller slate with the first set of the buys, but still enough to keep us entertained. Byron, Joe, with me as always. Gents, how are we doing? And how was your Week 5 of the NFL?
Good one, yeah. Dallas win, Eagles lose. A couple of nice bets hit. Yeah, check that as a decent Week 5, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really fun one. It was either like blowouts or big comebacks. It was a lot of it was a lot of fun games this week, and it felt like there's starting to be like a separation. There's already like a lot of teams where it's like, oh, they're done already this year. A few big teams in there, but yeah, it felt like the separation where some good teams put some good performances and some shocks, which we'll get into and masking their delight.
Yeah, actually, I think there was five double-digit comebacks in total on Sunday in the NFL, and a lot of craziness going on. Now, obviously, we're going to get into the games, but I think we should take this opportunity to shout, because I don't feel actually when we share when it doesn't go well, and we don't highlight it too much and brag when we have when things hit. But I feel like Sunday was a great day. Well, not just Sunday, but NFL Week 5 as a whole was pretty good for us. So I don't know if you've seen Joe too much, because obviously you don't follow the Cowboys, but at the end of the Cowboys win so far, Coach Brian Schottenheim has been kind of shouting out all the positive contributions at the end of the game. Who scored a touchdown, who's got an interception, who's got a sack, so on. So I feel we should just maybe do that for what we kind of hit through on Sunday. And we'll touch on it as we go in a bit more detail. But on Sunday and through Thursday Night Football as well. So between us, well, Byron had a 40-1 winner. We'll get into the detail of that later. Joe had a 19-1 four-leg touchdown parlay. I, as an idiot, got an 18-1 in-play bet that worked out. 7 different player props ranging from 2-1 to 4-1. 4 sides and 2 totals, and we've still got Monday Night Football to go. That's a pretty good week in the Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover books. And it just goes to show that listening to or watching Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover, or looking at the socials for some of that stuff, can make you money. So there you go. So round of applause. Well done, chaps. And hopefully more to come on Monday Night Football, as we're recording this on Monday before it comes out Tuesday. Let's get into the games then. We're going to have one focus game, some games to look at for takeaways, our weekly overreaction, and then we'll go through all the betting competitions and stuff that we've got. But we had to focus on the Bucs and the Seahawks. Magic Mayfield does it again with help from his new BFF. Baker and Igbuka outdueled Darnold and JSN in shootout. One mistake proved critical to lead to another Bucs fourth quarter comeback. Buccaneers 38, Seahawks 35. Obviously, the great game in the late slate. I think the game we needed in the late slate, the way things are panning out. But yeah, what did we make of this one? This was a great matchup between these two.
Yeah, really good matchup. I think it's just one of them where I don't think there's much to take away negatively on either team. Just somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. A great Ohio State wide receiver matchup. Igbuka going 7 for 163 and a touchdown. JSN going 8 for 132 and a touchdown. Both quarterbacks absolutely excellent. Sam Darnold, lost the game on a deflection off D lineman Hall's head, which ended up was it Levante David who got the game-winning interception? Fell into Levante David's arms, and then the Bucs were in field goal range immediate, like that then. So cruel that somebody had to lose, but that is such the way football is. Bucs just keep doing it. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are, who they're playing. They're competitive and right to the end. And then every single winner's been a walk-off winner, right, in this season for the Bucs?
It's been walk-off on very late, hasn't it? I think in the fourth, and they've all come in like the last 30 seconds at least. So yeah, and a fourth one, and they had a shot at the Eagles last week. So as well, they were kind of close to doing it there too. So yeah, I think huge credit goes to, obviously we keep, rightfully so. Igbuka had that huge game, 7 for 163. I understand he's from the Seattle area, so kind of going back home and having that kind of big game in Seattle. I And yeah, obviously he's stepped up because they've needed him because Godwin's not right yet and Mike Evans has gone out. And we thought maybe he'd be a slow burner in terms of the general consensus is that he's going to be a really good player for the Bucs. But it might just take him a little while to get going. He's got two great people to learn from. And in fact, what he's going to be is the offensive rookie of the year because there's nobody else doing what he's doing, is they getting close to the level of performance that he's having. Maybe Tyler Warren, possibly, I don't know. He's had a good start for the Colts. But yeah, Egbuka's just been head and shoulders, and he's had to take on that responsibility because of where the Bucs are, because of injuries. This one without Bucky Irving as well. So you've got, multiple offensive weapons down. 60% of the O-line gone, and people playing in positions maybe they're not accustomed to. Great coaching job, I think, from the Bucs, just to kind of stay in these games. And if they were, 3-2 or 2-3 and had been competitive in these games, you'd still think they're in a good spot because they're having to overcome all this stuff. But no, they're not. The 4-1 pole position again to win the NFC South. Fantastic stuff. What did you make of from the Seahawks perspective, Joe? We talked obviously flowers for the Buccaneers, of course, but what about from the Seahawks perspective?
Yeah, for offensive, like we mentioned, I think Sam Darnold is way and above, doing much better than we thought he was. And obviously that O-line is average, which is great for Seattle fans and Seattle team from having the last few years being absolutely dreadful to have like an average, solid offensive line. And Darnold's just taking what's there. I think he had one or two throws which were outstanding, which again you're not expecting from Darnold. And he's comfortably a top 10 quarterback this year. I think he's performed way and above. Obviously, coming into this game, I was saying this feels like their first true test, like the 3 wins they've had. I mentioned them in the preview. I think the Steelers and the rest of the teams have played, where it was like you're at home, beat a Buccaneers team who's not, who have got a lot of injuries. Bucky Irving coming in this game while out as well, and that running game didn't do much for the Buccaneers. So it was more this pass. So it's a bit disappointing on that end in terms of this defense. I had them as a top 5 defense, and they probably still are. You have them kind of games, but to let that many yards go against this Buccaneers, I think that's disappointing from their side. I think they see themselves as a Form 1, NFC top of the division kind of team, and they're just being beaten by a Bucs team. The Seahawks did have a few injuries, especially on the back end, so that certainly helped the Bucs getting that. And yeah, when you just look at this game, it was 13-7 at halftime, and then he went touchdown, 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 punt, touchdown, touchdown, interception, field goal. So it was just everything went off in that second half. I think you mentioned Egbuka, I have to call him the BEE, the Baker, Emeka Egbuka lineup, the B, because they just couldn't stop them, and it was just outstanding. I think from the Seahawks, you still take positives, just like start of the offense, and it seems like that offense can sustain throughout the year. I think the Bucs can be more up and down, and there's going to be games, their points differential is +3 and they're 4-1, which is nuts. But I think the Seahawks can beat bad teams well, and they're definitely going to be competitive against good teams throughout the season. So I think disappointing Seahawks being at home. They have that weird thing where for some reason Mike McDonald has a bad home record compared to away record, which you think is the opposite of Seattle. But yeah,
I think they've won 2 home games in his year and a quarter,
which is nuts when you think about it.
And only lost 1 road game, I think. that might be right. Crazy record. Quick shout out AJ Barner as well, 2 touchdowns. He's matched his touchdown total from last season already with 4, and that's 4 touchdown catches on 14 receptions so far for the season. So is AJ Barner this year's Nick Westbrook-Akine?
Could well be. And shouting out Titans as well. K. Dotton came in and filled in really well. I'll say filled in, just had a really good box score this week, 80 yards. When they needed it, with Godwin slowing down.
Yeah, coming into this year, I was high on K. Dotton just because I feel like last year when they had all the injuries, he stepped up, and he had a few injuries throughout the summer, and he was first few weeks very quiet. So it seems like and if they get him rolled, I thought Tez Johnson had a few good catches as well. He looks tiny. When I saw him next to some of the other players, he looks like, who's this little boy mascot? They play same size as me, but compared to the rest of the NFL players, it was certainly a sight. But yeah, great game by all of them.
Do you think, when Baker and Sam Darnold play each other now, because I guess it's probably going to happen more regularly, because obviously they were in that kind of hell of the Panthers together.
Yeah.
You think they have like that Paul Rudd Hot Ones moment? That mean like, hey, look at us.
Who would have thought it? Not me.
But incredible to see both of them. And you know what? I thought Donald would really struggle, and he's proving people wrong. And fair play to him so far. I think now I think these are two for sure playoff teams. The Bucs will win the division. Whether the Seahawks can win the West or not, but I think for sure they get in. I think they're just really, really solid. Kind of bashed them week one, but yeah.
Did you see the Mayfield quote last week? Just talking about Carolina with him and Darnold. He was asked, "Do you reminisce about the good old days with Sam Darnold?" He's like, "The what old days? No, we don't." Which I think is about as diplomatic as he could have been.
Yeah.
And I think with the Seahawks going forward, they've got the Jags and the Texans and the Commanders. They're three teams. I think they're very similar. Like maybe higher than the Texans, just with how the Texans play. But I don't see too much difference between them and the Commanders, or I think either them or Jags. So again, go out there and perform and put in a signature win to boost that. There's only so many teams can get in the playoffs. I think they're going to be there and thereabouts, but like the wild card battle with maybe some from the north and the east.
Excellent. And the Bucs play your San Francisco 49ers next, which will be a great game. Speaking of which,
no players, no problem, as 49ers find their born identity. 49ers down Purdy, Pearsall, Jennings, and Kittle on offense alone. Sneak past the Rams. McVay laments his end of getting call as Shanahan bests him once again. So, yeah, obviously, huge Kendrick Bourne game here. Kind of out of nowhere, but Mac and him reunited from New England. He goes off entirely, 142 yards, 10 receptions. And ultimately, the game comes down to Kyren Williams in two phases. One fumbles on the goal line. In a play I'm not sure about the legality of, because whoever comes in and punches the ball doesn't punch the ball at all. They just smash him in the head. And I'm not sure you're allowed to do that.
Afterwards.
He do it like on the follow through. He just punches the ball out, but he knocks Kyren Williams out first.
I'm curious about the rule. Like, if it's not like grabbing the helmet or you're not helmet to helmet, hand to helmet, I'm sure that's like, because you see that a lot of people like push off on the helmet.
Let's not call it hand to helmet, Joe. Just go to 49. That isn't a hand to helmet. That's a 300-pound man, full strength, smashing him in the head. I don't know the hard rule on it either, but it doesn't look legal. But it wasn't called. Doesn't matter. He fumbled on the goal line, and then overtime comes. Niners go down the field, kick a field goal. Shout out Eddie Pinheiro, who can now kick 56-yarders, no problem. These balls must have something in them. I'm not sure what it is, but it's something good. Rams come back down the field. I thought Matthew Stafford had a great game. 30-47, 3 touchdowns. I don't know if you guys get the Amazon Prime view where you watch it, but you get like the behind the players view. It's so good for people like Stafford because you see him work through his progression so quickly, and then he just zips that ball often to Puka Nacua, as is the way. But it looks so good. If you're going to see it for any team, I would want it to be the Rams, I think. Go down the field, not easily, but pretty comfortably. Get to fourth down. Niners take a timeout. Rams take a timeout. And then Sean McVay, in all his wisdom, and we all rate Sean McVay really highly. I mean, how could you not? Great offensive scheme caller, great offensive mind, decides to go with Kyren Williams up the gut into the 49ers D-line, who just eat him up immediately. And game over. 49ers incredible. It wasn't
even the gut as well. I think he was behind two wide receivers and a tight end.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a quick play, but like you could see it failed immediately. There was no chance for a second burst. I do not understand it in any way, but this shouldn't be about Sean McVay's failure as a call. He laments it. He spoke out. He shouldn't have been. I think this is one of them. Maybe not at the end of his career, perhaps, but like certainly on his Coach of the Year candidacy, we say maybe this is Kyle Shanahan's year to get Coach of the Year. To go in on a Thursday night, none of us gave them a sniff. We all picked the Rams minus 8.5 points. Charlie stood out on his own and was very brave taking the 49ers with the points. Turns out you don't even need the points. I thought this was an incredibly well-coached game. I thought Mac Jones stood in really well. Got the ball out pretty quickly, but took plenty of pressure along with it. I just thought this is exemplary from Kyle Shanahan. And again, I've been pretty low on the Niners as a roster. before the injuries. I always thought they'd get double-digit wins because of their schedule. But I think this win on the road, short week, no players, backup quarterback, I thought this was just a real kind of mic drop for Kyle Shanahan. I thought it was really, really well coached.
Yeah. Is there a thing here, Joe, that says, obviously Purdy's dealing with an injury, obviously it's flared up again this week after him sitting a couple of weeks. Do you just give him the next few weeks and go, well, Mac Jones is playing more than well enough here to be able to carry it. We're going to get healthier as we go. And do you just take that caution with Purdy for another few weeks rather than maybe, I know they're on a mini bye now, having played Thursday, but do you just take that extra week or two with him and go, we're fine with Mac, let's get Purdy right?
Yeah, I think so, because I think, Mac Jones is not the healthiest as well.
That knee brace, that's the biggest knee brace I've ever seen. I was like, fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin knee braces.
Well, did you see his shrug as well? Because they wanted to get around it. Yeah, the Stone Cold injury. I would agree. I think with Purdy's injury, and I think I saw Steve Young talk about it, that where the injury is with his turf toe is, I think it's his right foot, so that's where you put all the pressure on to throw the ball. So that's why it was like interesting. It's when you hear that, it's like, it makes sense why against the Jags, a lot with like looping balls. I remember like watching the game and he felt like every single ball was like very loopy. It wasn't like, and he said, because he's not being able to put any weight on it, so he's having to do that. He's having to throw off weight. So I think I'm curious if Mac would have played last week if he was fully fit. I feel like they have to rush Purdy in because I think Mac was dealing with the PCL injury. So I think if Purdy's not fully fit, keep Mac in. It's just the issue is if Mac's injured as well and Purdy can go, then you're a bit like, we've got to go with Purdy. But I think if he's not fully fit, get him fit. I think Mac Jones does a great job. I think he's very similar to Purdy, but Purdy gives you a little bit more. So I would prefer Purdy over Mac Jones, but you need him fully fit. There's no point in coming up with like them looping balls and all that kind of stuff. And it's how the Niners have been and probably come back and tear his full ligaments.
You definitely don't want loopy balls. You definitely don't want.
No, exactly. Yeah, and like even during the game, I remember messaging you guys, being like, I'm just sick of all these injuries. I think Grossmaster went off injured, Davis went off injured, 2 people on the front line. That's when they started running that ball, and it felt like we didn't have enough points on them. I always thought the Rams were going to come back. But no, they made that huge stand in. I just want the 49ers to win by like 2 touchdowns and have like a nice, relaxing game. I think every single game this week's come down to the last second, and it's not doing my ticker any good.
Well, as we just mentioned, you're playing the Bucs next week, and given how their games have gone, so no, you're not getting that next week either. Just quick once again, I said, I'd shout out the bets as we go and forgot to do it for the first game. But this one, I had Puka Nacua, 9 receptions, 80 plus receiving yards for 19-10. They kept him in check relative to how he'd been the first month of the season, I think. And just to track back to that Bucs Seahawks games, that was probably our best game combined. Joe had a Buka 50 plus receiving yards and a touchdown, 5-2. Byron had a Torrey Horton TD at 4-1. I had the Buccaneers plus 3.5, and JSN 7 catches, 76.5 plus receiving yards, 29-20. So it was a pretty good game for us there. Excellent. Shall we move on to our next spotlight and takeaway game? It is me. It is the Commanders. Commanders 27, Chargers 10. In charge and in command. Commanders impressive. Return of Daniels, big day for Bill, and key takeaways get Washington going after slow start. Chargers drop back-to-back games to the NFC East. Has the optimism waned? I think the Chargers are in trouble. Look, we 2 weeks ago crowned them the winners of the AFC West. The Chiefs are dead. By the time this goes out, the Chiefs could be level with them and just half a game back because obviously the Chargers beating week 1. And that's it. And we're first week of October. Yeah. Obviously, clearly premature, but it's just the raft. It's the injury. It's the old line that's struggling. Although Baker's overcome that. Dak Prescott's overcoming that. Chargers can't. And they're just the turnovers are a killer. Turnovers all in plus territory as well. Couple in the red zone. Just absolute killers for the Chargers. But I thought the Commanders, again, who are just dealing with their own injury problems. It doesn't. It's not just the Chargers that are dealing with it. Commanders are dealing with it as well. Took them a while to get going, but once they did, in kind of that last 5 minutes of the second quarter, they didn't look back at all. But Daniels eventually, once he got rolling, was impressive. Bill Krosky Merritt, fantasy darling, starting to show that 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 carries. Daniel's got going a bit on the ground as well. But after kind of sharing it, Krosky Merritt and Rodriguez and Jeremy Nichols, it's his now, I think. He's taking it on for sure. Debo, they are utilising Debo to the best, in his best way. They're lining him up everywhere, moving him around. So still no Terry McLaurin, but he's getting a bit of backup. Like Luke McCaffrey was catching that deep shot. Like they've got a couple of deep plays that they've been missing in the early weeks, the Commanders. Just a really, really impressive game all round. And I thought defensively they bowed up a bit as well. Sam Russell with the interception we mentioned, the forced fumble and the fumble recoveries. And, you know, we talked about the Chargers O-line issues. They took advantage of them. I think it's 4 or 5 sacks. Von Miller with a sack and a half. And just, you know, really in a position where they were really putting Justin Herbert under a lot of pressure, and Trey Lance as well. Trey Lance caught for one. But yeah, the Chargers really, I think, really struggled defensively. On the ground, outside of that long Justin Herbert run, didn't really have anything. Amari Hampton's just gone on injured reserve for the next 4 weeks minimum. So that's lost Najee Harris to a season-ending injury, and Amari Hampton gone. Who's going to step in, Byron?
Well, I'm probably it'll be the second year back. I mean, I didn't know if they thought to go to Vidal Sassoon, but they're going to have to.
Excellent. Start get that in before we moved on.
Yes.
And as much as, you know, Quentin Johnston's improved and we saw a bit more from Lag McConkey, they're really struggling, and the defense isn't holding up quite like it was before. So, yeah, I think Chargers in trouble. Commanders can get rolling, I think, after kind of an iffy start. I think they're in a good position. What did you make of this one, guys? Sorry, I appreciate I've rambled on a bit there.
No, I was going to say that the most damning fact I saw was the Chargers of the last 3 weeks. Herbert's faced 45% pressure rate. You know, that's nearly half the snaps. He's feeling pressure. So, you know, these even when Jolt was there as well. It's not like Jolt went out a few weeks ago. So they're having that huge issue, and they just can't overcome it. It feels very Charger-esque, where we all get super excited and then they get a few injuries and they bottom out. They have got the Dolphins next week, who, you know, we'll talk about them in a bit, but, you know, take that win, get to 4-2 and see if you can get some of these players fit. It was surprising because they went 10-0 up, and he felt like the Chargers were fairly comfortable, and he felt like the Commanders just, it looked like Daniels had just come back from injury, where he looked a bit hesitant. He wasn't doing his running as much. But he just got things going, like you said, with Bill, with Debo, another huge game. I think that's been a huge pickup, and he's looking like Debo of old. And I think he was just huge that when they got the interception on the 1 yard line, I think they had like, I can't remember how many plays, but it was 6 minutes all the way down the field, and you score that touchdown on the 4th down just to rub it in a little bit. You know, make mine and pause under just a little nerve-wracking. But we'll give it to the Commanders, who they've got the Bears next and the Cowboys, and then they've got a 3-game tough streak. So I think, again, at this race, you need to keep piling them wins, because I think both teams here at 3-2 are going to be the teams like you would see like battling for the wild card. So it's just all about taking the victories and, you know, moving on. But after the Chargers, certainly will be dropping down our power rankings again, because it's been a bit disappointing the last 2 weeks. Yeah,
I dropped them down to 11 last week and got a little bit of feedback that maybe that was too much, but if they can't block, they're going to go nowhere. And just to follow up on your pressure point there, Joe, in the last 3 games, they have allowed 81 pressures to Justin Herbert. Josh Allen was pressured 80 times last season. And kind of a wild one, you know, Andrew Luck retired early because he got beat up so much. His O-lines were so porous. In his NFL career, Andrew Luck was hit 580 times. Justin Herbert, in his 6th season, is on pace to be hit 625 times by the end of this season. They need to do something about it, and I don't know what they're going to do about it, but this is not sustainable.
Yeah, fair. As Joe mentioned, I had the under on this one of the totals that we got in. Joe, onto your game.
Yeah, I went with the Broncos winning in Philadelphia. So the last team, well, the final team in the NFC with a 100% record goes down to 4-1. So the Broncos Feathers Flyers Broncos stampede through the link. Sean Payton masterclass helps the Broncos come from 17-3 down to win at the link. So this year's statement win, and it ruins the Eagles' perfect start, as I mentioned. So yes, I think this is a strange game. It felt like the Eagles were fairly comfortable. They were 17-3 up. They were moving the ball. And then they just decided, let's just keep throwing. Everyone in the media has been telling us we're not throwing enough. Not getting enough of the ball. Everything's going to disaster. And it feels like they had that game plan going in. We're going to like show everyone we can throw it around and nothing's wrong here. Everything's fine. We'll be 5-0. Everything's hunky-dory. But then when they had the lead, they just kept throwing, and it just wasn't working. This Broncos team made adjustments, shut that offense down. Barkley couldn't get going again. It's another week where Barkley, I know he got a touchdown, but he didn't get too many yards. And this Broncos team just started chipping away. And I think I put the Sean Payton masterclass because especially when they got that second touchdown, which would have made it, if they kicked it 17-all, he goes to 2 points. He goes, let's do it. We're stopping this team from doing anything, and we're going to get the ball back. Let's try and get this 2 points. It just makes it awkward, which it did because after the Eagles punted again, the Broncos went down, scored a field goal. They put the Philadelphia in a position where, oh no, we have to go all the way down the field to score the touchdown rather than just looking for that field goal. So I thought his masterclass, I think he showed himself. I don't think he's done enough this year, and that's why I put the statement win. Because the Broncos have been that weird team. Now they're 3-2, they're in a good position, and they've got that statement win where they can compete with these kind of teams, can put these teams away. That defense stepped up. Bo Nix looked good. You know, some of the wide receivers, Sutton, Franklin got that 2-pointer, and J.K. Dobbins look a whole different player as well. And again, I think he got how many yards did he get?
20 for 79, he rushed.
Yeah, so it wasn't like crazy, but he just, in them moments, he hit, and they got 18 unanswered points. And I think one of the great facts, so the Broncos entering the fourth quarter are 1-112 all time when facing a deficit of at least 14 points on the road. Make that 2-112. So, you know, the Broncos are doing things which they haven't been doing. They snapped the Eagles' 10-game winning streak. And yeah, it was just a good performance. And now it just rose into that Eagles where we all were saying, it just doesn't feel right. But the 4-0, how can you complain? Now it's a bit like there's going to be some more talk. I said, yeah, Barkley only went for 30 yards. Didn't score any points in the, I think it was the last, was it 5 plays? They went
5 drives. They scored on the first drive after halftime was the Barkley touchdown. And then they punted 4 times. And then the last drive was the heave into the end zone. Yeah.
And they included a free and out as well. So it wasn't even just like long drives. It's not what you expect from this Eagles team. They just couldn't get anything going. One was like -16. So, and just doing silly plays, obviously, like Zach Bourne. I've seen some people complain about it. It was definitely a personal foul. The guy was down. And
well, yeah, it's insane.
Didn't need to. Obviously, there was a few other decisions, which I think when the Broncos were, but, you know, the Eagles have had plenty of luck. I think it balanced itself out over the year. I think there was the Dallas Goedert should have been pass interference on that final drive. We've changed, wonder how they would have changed it differently. And yeah, just the last Hail Mary where it felt like AJ Brown defended it away from
yeah. Well, Devonta Smith had it, didn't he? And AJ Brown just kind of got in the way. Yeah, that is pass interference and Dallas Goedert. I think that is a real blatant one. And they'd have got 2 shots maybe from the 5-yard line with probably about 6 seconds left. So you can probably get off 2 plays. So yeah, which might have made a difference. Who knows? But running the ball 11 times when you're up across the whole game, when you were leading, especially in the second half, by 2 possessions, is just quite frankly stupid. The Eagles got what they deserved. Devonta Smith obviously had a big game. There's a lot of people unhappy, I think, in Philadelphia. This has got the remnants of not last season, the season before, when they were going, well, they weren't going well because they weren't playing well, but they were winning games, and they got to like 9-1. And they beat the Chiefs and went mad, even though they weren't playing well. And then it just fell apart. They lost 6 of their last 7 games, including getting beat in the wild card round of the playoffs. This has all of those vibes for the Eagles. I wonder if this getting beat and the air of invincibility about them going might just kind of spark them into action. But it's not pretty again.
I think they need a new OC. They seem to be just trying to get by on vibes at the moment and no crisp detail to the play. That they have one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the league. Jalen Hurts had 2 attempts yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, along with Saquon Barkley having 6. I mean, Saquon Barkley is more egregious there, but that is egregious in itself. Use the strengths of your team. AJ Brown gave up on a route that looked kind of embarrassing. And I think the biggest thing to me is that in the second half, the Broncos just stopped blitzing and went zone and said, okay, just beat us then. And Jalen Hurts went, I don't know how to. I could do with a hand, and there's nothing coming from coaching. I think they need a new offensive coordinator, I think sooner rather than later. But, it's the Eagles. They're doing well. So for me, no sympathy for the devil.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got the Giants on Thursday Night Football, which we talk about the Vikings and Giants again. So you'd at least go 2-1 there, probably 3-0. But the Broncos traveling to the UK, got the Jets. So they got the Jets, the Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders next. You'd think 4-1. Maybe get up to a 7-3 mark. So they definitely can. With how about the Chargers, they're certainly back in this race, and got a lot of things going well for them now after it felt like a shaky start.
Yeah, I think Cooper DeJean had a good game. Was the only bright point I felt for Philly. He seems to shine every single week. White cornerback matchup. Riley Moss, not so much.
Couple of bets in this one, Barry. You had the Broncos plus 3.5. And Joe, Dallas got it. Anytime touchdown scorer at 73. Great pick. Next up, then, we've got our weekly overreaction segment. So this is where we, talk through our biggest overreactions of the week. And this one was quite hilarious, really. So I mentioned earlier, Titans 22, Cardinals 21. Cardinals crumble. Insane miscues hand Titans the win. Arizona fall to 2-3 after finding new ways to lose. Treacherous stretch ahead. Difficult to see where the next win comes from. Are they ready to blow it all up? Do you want to have a look? Should we have a look first before we? Go on. Talk. I think there probably could have been more plays to share there.
I have one little. I don't know if theory is the right word. One little thought about this play, which I haven't really seen anyone else say, so I'm just probably wrong. But maybe when the play comes up, I was talking about the interception, the Tyler Lockett pick 6, as it's being called.
Okay, well let's save it for that then. Let's save it before we get there, because we've got 3 that we're going to go to, and this is just this is the start of the miscue. So this is.
I do want to thought on this one as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, 21-6. The Cardinals have got it. This is at the 20-yard line, 3rd and 12. Opportunity to increase their lead. At worst, you come away with 3 from there.
They have been able to chew up a lot of clock. 7th play. The drive football is loose. Live ball, and Tennessee has it.
Calorie gets
concussed.
It's shot. It's how much his head snapped back that he just stood like, oh shit, what's happening?
Well, I mean, to fair, 75% of his mass is in his head.
He looked like he's just taking a jab from Tyson Fury or something. The shocking. So ultimately, the Titans don't score from that, but it stops the Cardinals putting up points at that point because they don't put up any more points. So that's the first of it, which is just fantastic.
Byron on the undeals, he was shit. He was rubbing his hands together after.
I didn't think this was going
that kind of. Yeah.
And then we'll go to the Cardinal sin. The Adonai Mitchell play from last week must have been played over and over again, obviously, especially in Indianapolis. But all 32 even the teams on a bye, that would have been sent on their iPads. Everybody's watching that play going, don't fucking do this. We see it happened enough. Don't do it. D. Mercado, which I think is it a 50-odd yard run?
Oh, it's a long run, yeah. Might be longer.
Well, that's going to be close.
Just Deshaun Jackson.
He extended it with his hand.
Did
he drop it early?
Like I think this one's worse than the Mitchell one, because I feel like the Mitchell, he was like swapping hands and it like accidentally. He just like flicked this out. He got nominated for Fantasy Gameday. It went straight through his head. Celebrating that they could have been giving big points to all our fans with a 50-yard touchdown on a cheap Fantasy Gameday, but. Yeah, I think that is the shocking one. That's just, and again, as an under, when Byron was sat there thinking, happy days, just keep messing all this up, Cardinals. And
I was going for you there. And
you think if anyone would know, about a line of demarcation, it would be Amara demarcation.
Yeah, and at that point, that's the kill. If the game wasn't already dead with how poor the Titans had been, that kills it off. That takes you to 20, that takes it to 27 extra. That's 28-6 with 11 minutes to go in the game. It's done. It's game over. And then they just breathe life into the Titans. And the Titans went and scored a touchdown. Opportunity to get that back to one possession. No, they fuck it up. Joey Sly, who incredible how he's not been cut again. He missed 4 field goals in a row coming into this game. Misses an extra point. So you think the Titans are dead again. And then this happens. And I've not got it dubbed with the Benny Hill music because it should do. But look, this is what gets the Titans in striking distance.
Clock running inside of 5 minutes. Ward goes through his progressions. Everyone covered, slings it back. It's deflected and picked. Taylor Demerson, and then the football came out. Who recovers? Tennessee for the touchdown in a crazy sequence.
The Tyler Lockett, what do we call it, Byron? Kick six?
Just Tyler Lockett pick six. I mean,
pick six, sorry, yeah.
My little thought on it is, does Taylor Demerson have the ball long enough to have possession? I think that could have easily been called. And but when does he have possession of the ball? Because he's falling with it as he's stepping. I think if he fell out of bounds, I think that might have been overruled and be an incompletion. I think that was a tighter call than people have made out.
Maybe, yeah.
And when I first watched it, I didn't think it. Then when I watched it, I was like, he's stepping and fumbling as he hits the ground. I think it's really touch and go. But if they're gonna, like you said, they're finding ways to lose these games. And Gannon, third year.
Yeah, and it was a crazy play beforehand. The guy who got that deflection, that was an awesome play to get the interception. And then it's the kick. Someone else kicks it, and then someone just bats it into end zone. You must have had the over, just bats in the end zone. Or had Lockett in his fantasy team, just here you go, mate. It's just the comical 3 players diving at once, and one of them just swiped, and it just how it lands perfectly because there was no Titans players around the guy who intercepted when the fumble as well. I think that's just the crazy thing. So, and then I think the next one is they're shocking mistakes, but what Gannon did after this, I think that's the worst one. Well, probably not the worst one, than the fumble, but they don't trust Kyler Murray anymore.
Yeah,
they had the ball, ran it 3 times, 3rd and 8. Even if it was to make it 20 seconds to go, fair enough. I'll be the 49ers did. It made sense why Shanahan did that when you're on the goal line. But they still had 1 minute and 50 seconds to go. Why are you trying to get him to burn that? Just give it, just throw it. This Titans team's not done much all game. Well, they just don't trust Kyler Murray with that. So
it's coaching scared. It's the same old shit with these coaches who are scared to win games.
And I guess, the snowball effect of what had gone on beforehand to get in that point, you can maybe kind of understand the thought process, not agree with it. But I think Candle's group, props to Cam, by the way, on that last drive, he was incredible. He went 5 of 6 for 67 yards. Obviously, Ridley had the huge game. I think he was averaging 40 yards a catch or something. He had 30 odd yards a catch. Then he had 5 grabs for 100
40 yards a drop.
Yeah, 130 something yards. So that worked. But I think Cam played really in that moment. He had full command and just grasped the opportunity to win that they didn't deserve. The Titans were awful again for 3 quarters. Didn't deserve to be in it, but they took advantage of the opportunities that were presented to them, even though they tried to fuck it up, but, still found a way to kind of get it done. So props to Cam, first win. Good to get that out of the way relatively early, not that linger on. So, fair play to them. Candles might not win a game to December or have the chance of winning a game to December. I don't think they'll be favoured in a game until December.
But what's crazy? They could be 5-0. Every one of their losses is come down to their mistakes. The 49ers field goal at the end, Seahawks the same. And then this one, it's a team where you're this could be 5-0, but it makes sense why they're 2-3. I think you keep I think they're going to get rid of Murray. But and congrats to the Titans, but I still think they should clear out all them coaching. He wasn't like, oh, great coaching occurred. He was just like, how the hell have you won this game?
Yeah. Anyway, right, next up for next overreaction segment.
Mayday in Buffalo. The 72 Dolphins are popping corks early this year. Not all Super Bowls are created equal. This is the earliest to have every team with a loss since 2014. It's wide open race, the weakest elite group in the NFL in years. Maybe a surprise winner this year. And spoiler alert, do you know who won that season, the 2014, and where they were after 5 weeks? It's kind of the bigger point of it.
Is 2014? No.
Is it?
Yeah, Seattle, is it?
Patriots?
It is the Patriots. Well done, Joe. Yes. And after week 5, they were, for week 5, after week 4, they were on to Cincinnati. It was that famous Bill Belichickism. It's when they beat the Seahawks Malcolm Butler game in the Super Bowl final. But yeah, I mean, that's where they were after 4 weeks. They were on to Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati that week, went to 3-2, and then went on to win the Super Bowl. I think, it's more doing the power rankings that really brings it out in me, is like, and then this week with the Rams losing, the Eagles losing, the Bills losing, as we see here, last unbeaten team gone, technically, the Eagles losing earlier in the day. Is there any great teams in the NFL this year? I'm not sure there is. Detroit are just down Terry and Arnold for maybe the rest of the season, certainly long term. They've been good. There's a lot of teams who've got a lot of positives. I don't think there's a great team this year. Therefore,
I'll give you a few weeks. I feel like a lot of years, the first few weeks can be a bit, with the Ravens last year, for example, and a few other teams who look good, and then suddenly.
Well, this is the first year since 2014 that we haven't had an unbeaten team at this stage. So
interesting, maybe a bit more parity. I don't know, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe more competitive games and be better for us overall. Yeah, what did you make of this one? Because did you pick the Patriots in ATS? I think
I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had the under in this one as well, but you know what? I think the Bills. You remember? I'm weird to talk about soccer. Remember, Man United had them grey jerseys, and they
grey, yes,
the grey one, yeah.
I see what you're saying.
You need to do with them frozen tundra jerseys that the Bills were wearing.
Yeah, it looked great from the sky because the entire stadium was white. It had that kind of snowy effect without any snow. I thought it looked really cool. But no, I take your point. It's not when everyone's blending in together, maybe not such a good look. I thought the Patriots really handled the business really well. Stephon Diggs was exemplary. He was asked after the game if it was personal. Did you see his comments after the game if it was personal for him? 100%. And I don't think he's a man to bullshit on that kind of thing. Stephon Diggs, I think it was very personal for him. I think the kind of trick to beating the Bills this year is don't make any stupid fuck-ups and make Josh Allen be Josh Allen. Because that offense, James Cook can destroy everybody who's a lesser team. But I think the play calling got away from them and they fell right back into Josh Allen's going to have to play Superman for us to win this game. I don't think they did enough. I don't think there was anywhere near enough on James Cook's plate yesterday. And passing the ball isn't going to be their huge weapon. So the Bills aren't, and we thought that coming into the season, the Bills were going to win the division. But I mean, against the Ravens, they were lucky to get away with that win. I think the Patriots were the better team yesterday and played really good football. I don't think, obviously, they're not unbeatable because we've just seen them get beat. But yeah, I think they were the last of the big dogs who we thought, okay, we'll see how many games they can go, without taking a defeat. And it's week 5. I'm not sure there's anyone to be scared of. And I don't think the Bills are.
No, and when you look at the Patriots' schedule, it's soft. Like, the only good teams they've really got is Falcons, Bucks, Bills again. You can't even say Ravens are now. So they've got, Saints, Titans, Browns, Jets twice, Bengals, Giants, Ravens, Dolphins. No one to be scared of. You're beating the Bills already at their place. So you've really got the Falcons, Bucks, and the Bills at home. That's like probably they're going to be the underdog. Maybe they might not be the underdog against the Falcons. So they've got a big chance here to get that 7th seed. I think a lot of big teams who we expect to start the year to be there, like the Bengals, the Ravens.
Yeah.
Texans like that are falling off, so they've got that chance for that. Certainly, that wild card have to at least challenge the Bills for the division because they've got the schedule to do it. And compared to like the AFC West, who have to play against each other and have a harder schedule, then it makes them one of the favourites. So I think it's good that Drake May got the limelight to actually show what he can do. That pass where he was getting dragged down and he somehow flicked it to Stefan Diggs was incredible. I don't know how he managed to do that and keep his knee up. It's he's certainly showing his potential.
I think this was his, he seems to get better by the week, and I think this was kind of his standout week. I just wanted to shout out his second half. He went 13 of 14, 184 yards, 118.8 passer rating, 13.1 yards per attempt, plus 30.9 completion percentage over expected, and a game-winning drive, all on prime time, all in Buffalo. I thought, those first three quarterbacks from last year, Jane Daniels obviously returning from injury, but I feel like every franchise will be really happy with what they've got right now. Caleb Williams is improving in year 2, and Drake May. I don't want to say I'd take him first out of the lot right now, but I might well do. I think it's a really hard decision. And credit to him because he doesn't have the weapons to be playing like he does. I just think it's really good. He's been really well coached, and he's making the absolute most of everything he's got as well. So just really positive for New England, who actually had sneaking into the playoffs in our preseason predictions.
Well, the chaos is happening around where some talked about the nailed on playoff teams that have just fallen apart. So excellent. Right, Joe, weekly overreaction for you.
Gino sounds from the Vegas fans. With the Raiders moving to 1-4, that included 3 terrible performances from Byron's favorite. Will Gino get benched soon? Can he pick it? Anyone? This Raiders team going down to 1-4. Obviously, week 1 was they beat the Patriots, and I had a bit of hope for them, and I thought, this could work, this experiment. But since then, it's been dreadful. They got blown out by the Colts 4-6. Huge shout out to the Colts again, just beating teams who they should be beating and beating them well. I think that's the most impressive thing. Their differential is plus 74, which is crazy. And they only lost a tight one to the Rams, where when you look at it, it's probably their mistakes what cost them. But the Raiders, is this a one and done for Pete Carroll? Obviously, didn't sign the longest contract. Everything that defense seems to at the beginning. It felt like they were playing for that team, and Max Crosby was incredible. Again, he had a few battered passes, a few sacks. But that offense is just terrible. It's just not worked for Gino. It feels like what Chip Kelly's brought in, where everyone was excited coming from the college, where he changed his play style, just doesn't fit how Gino plays. And there's just the offensive lines. I know they had a few injuries, but still. I think it's been a disaster there. And I don't know where they're going to go from here. Because, obviously they got Kenny Pickett. I think Aiden O'Connell's, he's out. He's on IR. He might come back. But I think a couple more of these games, I think it could be, that could be for Gino. It's I think he's had eight interceptions already. I think this week was 2 interceptions. Last week was 3 interceptions. And some of them are just not good. I don't know what he's seeing. But it's not worked out whatsoever. And when we talked about, it feels like the disparity between teams might be short. There's 8 teams, either 1-4 or 0-5, or I think a very, not great. And a few 2 or 3 teams. So I don't think we think much of. And I think Raiders one of them where it feels like, are we already looking towards next year? Because I don't see them coming back and doing anything serious this year. I thought Gentry looked good again. I thought he had another good game. But still not good enough when you only score 6 points. I think everything just looked hard for them. I think they went on a huge drive. I think it was for 10 minutes or something like that, and they just got 3 points. And I think that just says it all. They just can't put it together. They can't get the points. And when you look at the opposite end, Danny Dimes is just balling, and Jonathan Taylor with another 3 touchdowns, 66 yards, and they're starting to pull players and. A fairly easy game when Ashton Doolin is your leading catcher, and you're winning by 34 points. What a great Sunday to be in Indianapolis. The other bad thing is the kicker. It looks like the kicker's out for the year. I think he's torn.
McAfee shared that earlier that he is. The fact that Daniel Jones was on the sideline with 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, crazy. Yeah, the Raiders obviously with no Brock Bowers, they don't have an offense. Is basically where they're at, and obviously he's battled through a knee injury that he picked up in week 1, then sat this week, and it's been obviously struggled with the injury clearly because he's not been at it, and yeah, they're a mess. Blow it up. Well, the basement of the AFC is very crowded.
Ugly, yeah.
Yeah, it's very cramped, dank, dark basement. Right, let's get into the fourfold. We've got Spencer Rattler as our cover star. I'm sure we'll come to that in a minute. So heading to our fourfold challenge. Joe 3-1, best so far. Byron, you can join in with Monday Night Football. Joe, you needed the over, and so, well, we'll get to it. You were one short. Phil 1-3, our guest from Huddle UK. I was 2-2, and Byron's 2-1 so far. Your Lions was your favorite. I took them. It was 10.5 by the time I took them, but yeah, I think 37-24 is closer than it was really. Jake Brown obviously found 3 touchdown passes late on to go with his 3 interceptions. Weirdly, some of the touchdown passes were really, really good. The interceptions were horrible from Jake Browning. The noise is that I think they're going to move away from Jake Browning, but that sounds like it was going to be fucking Mike White or something. Which
I think it's not a great. It doesn't say much where the commentator keeps thinking that the ball's being deflected or his arm's being hit on some of these interceptions, and then they go and be players like, oh no, he just did that moon ball straight to the Lions defense. Not good.
Chase making the best of the bad situation, 6 for 111 and 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown receptions. But yeah, it is bad.
Jamar Chase now has 3 touchdowns on the season, which is as many tackles as he made yesterday.
He was the leading tackler at one point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he ended that way, but I do know that he ended with 3, and that's as many touchdowns as he has this year.
Yeah.
Sad state
of affairs. But for the Lions, solid again. Obviously, they were gifted a couple of short fields. Even started taking the piss with David Montgomery throwing a touchdown pass on his return to his hometown of Cincinnati. I'm running for a touchdown. Again, nothing too much to report. Tesla, one catch, 1 touchdown reception.
That's what he does, yeah. 2 hands this time, though, right?
2 hands, both hands this time.
Yeah, it's slacking a little bit, yeah. I was annoyed, though. The Lions couldn't have got to 40 points. 41. I had over 40 points for the Lions at 9-2. Come on.
Yeah.
It felt way too easy. And a big shout out to David Montgomery and Gibbs, who have now joined Cowboys, Emmitt Smith and Darryl Johnson, with the NFL World Cup by each scoring a touchdown in the same game for the 14th time. So,
interesting. Great start.
So
because I think Darryl Johnson was on commentary as well, which was
Bruce Johnson. Yeah, they have got the opportunity to break that record on Sunday Night Football next week at the Chiefs. So feels a good place to do it. And you have the under Titans Cardinals. We just talked about that mess. You're on the Jags as your underdog for Monday Night Football. You had over in the London game, the Lover, which got there in the end.
Never in doubt. Yeah, you've got Carson Wentz at the wheel. You've got Gabe Dillon at the wheel. You've got Jordan Addison. Late night curfew. Doesn't give a shit, but he'll still get you 41 yards, not 50. They cleared him out a quarter. I didn't know that was going to happen. But per quarter, he would have got there. If we give him the full game and a touchdown. Big win for Minnesota, I feel. Getting that line back healthy. Now they've done the international series. I think it was a big win for Minnesota, and squeaked over. So we're happy to get that over.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, the Lover. Joe, you hit a Njoku bet in this one, 50+ receiving yards at 7-2. So another of the props that came in. And just a last shout out. So we had last week on the preview the John McDonald from the UK Vikings, who cycled all the way from Dublin, where the Vikings played last, to London, made it on Saturday afternoon, looked in pretty good spirits. And so I think I've not checked so recently. Last time I checked, they've raised over $3,000. So if you can go follow the UK Vikings on X or Instagram, you can find the link and go donate some money to mine. So well done, John. Well done, the UK Vikings guys. And great win. chaos at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. Thousands left outside, not being able to get in. Some people were just getting in just before halftime by the sounds of it. And this new app that they've used for the ticket. So to compensate those people who couldn't get in, they gave them a voucher to the value of 50% of your ticket that can be spent on the NFL shop.
Oh, was Jordan Addison one of those people?
Possibly, yeah. He might have been he's stuck outside on the Seven Sisters Road.
Yeah,
I think he was at Wetherspoons the night before, and he was pretty happy with the price of beers there.
Fair.
Excellent, cool. And we've got 2 more London games to go. Cool, Byron. Yeah, so 2-1 with 1 to go. You're 11-8 and leading the way. I had the Cowboys Jets as my over 47.5. I was worried for quite a long time this one that the Cowboys were going to have to do this on their own until the Jets kind of found some garbage time points. Shout out, again, I'm very quick to slag the Cowboys, particularly defensively. However, they put a complete game together, I think, for the first time in a long time. Minus obviously slipping off in the fourth quarter a little bit. But Prescott missing 4 in this one, 4 of his 5 starting O-linemen missing. No CD Lamb. Turpin, another weapon down as well. Managed it again. I think he's fully in the MVP conversation, and he should be, along with Baker and maybe not Herbert anymore, but long way to go. Javonte Williams.
Can I ask, as 2 Cowboys fans, obviously we came to this year, you guys had no hope whatsoever. 2-1, really should be 3-2 with that Packers game, but 2-1 with schedule is not crazy. Are you optimistic with how good this offense has been that you could challenge for a wild card, or are you still just wait and see you're going to be middle of the pack? Because how good the running game's been as well, I think that's been one of the biggest shocks this year. Sure. Down on that upside defense, still not great, but is it?
I think they would need to run the table until the bye, which is maybe the week before the bye because they've got the Eagles. I think they need to run the table until they've got that, until they hit that stretch, and that'll leave them 8-2-1 or 7-2-1, I think. And then they've got to find a way to win a couple of games down the stretch. But some of those games might look a bit easier now, to be fair, than they did at the start of the year. But yeah, I kind of think you can't really afford to drop a game over the next 6 weeks, really.
Yeah, I wasn't totally down, I guess. I think I had them at 8 or 9 wins. I'm not 100% sure on the number now. I still think that's viable. And with how this season's been, I wouldn't rule them out of playoff contention. I don't expect it. But if the Eagles don't get them together, and we'll see how the Commanders keep going. Obviously, they're 3-2, Cowboys 2-1. I think the division could be easier to win than we anticipated going into the season. I'm still going to say I probably have them just outside the playoffs without doing a deep dive into it. But yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable they can get in. With this offense playing as it is, George Pickens became only the 3rd Cowboy in NFL history to have 50-plus receiving yards and a TD in 4 consecutive games. If you want to shout out the other 2, go ahead. But he's hit the ground running. Dak is playing like MVP football. Dak is 45-1 for MVP, which I think there's worse bets out there. Justin Herbert at 10-1, I think, is outrageous compared to that. Because he can't play without a great offensive line, it looks like. And Dak is he's marvellous to watch. I think he's been absolutely brilliant this season. But on the flip side, I mean, this is a fantasy stat, not an NFL stat, but the highest scoring quarterback in fantasy football so far this season is whoever plays Dallas, which is 27.5 points a game. The first actual quarterback is Josh Allen, 24.2. So if you start the opposing quarterback versus Dallas every week, you'd be outscoring Josh Allen by 3 points a week.
Yeah. Pretty good going, yeah.
And I'll just do a shout out. Sorry, just do a shout out now. We got in the Jets. I had the Jets over 5.5. I put $15 to start the year. Already cashed out for $10 because I was like, "There's no way you're going to touch that."
My man, nice.
So I was like, "It's not too bad of a hit before this game," and I managed to put some money on the other best, which helped out. So the Jets are not looking good.
Yeah. Couple of bits. If they fired Robert Saleh last year after getting beaten in London, I think they were 1 and whatever they were, 1 and 4. Does Aaron Glenn get on the plane if they go 0-6?
Yeah, they're not going to fire him this year. Or if they're going to fire him, it's going to be in the off season.
I think he might be 1 and done one and done after 6 games, I don't see happening.
I mean, this is Woody Johnson we're talking about. So,
yeah, I just don't see it.
Cool. Just that run, Joe, I suppose, just back to answer your question. Yeah, if the Cowboys can reel off the next 5 before the bye, because they have the bye then Philly. Panthers away, Commanders at home, Broncos away, Cardinals at home, Raiders on the road. I'll backtrack 4 of the 5 because going to Denver is going to be tough. They can win 4 of those 5 games and be 6-3-1, maybe, but then they've got a gauntlet to end the season and it's brutal. So we'll see. Need to win 4 of the next 5, then they can do it. Dropping that Bears game was a stinker, I think, for me, for them making the playoffs. Anyway, yeah, 47.5, pissed it. Giants, I thought the Giants was my underdog, and the New Orleans Saints got a win. And more importantly, Spencer Rattler got off the schneid. He was 0-10, and now he's 1-10, and played very well again. I think he did a really, really good job. Just kind of, again, not really. He just played kind of relatively mistake-free football, and I think if you're the Saints, then that's all you can kind of ask of him. And he's doing he's doing a really, really good job in doing so. Whereas the Giants, on the flip side, they made their own mistakes. They were the kind of the victims of their own mistakes.
Jackson, it was 5 in a row, wasn't it? Was it 5 turnovers in a row? Was it 5 turnovers in a row?
I think it might have been. It was close to it. But they had the fumbling issues with Jackson Dart when nobody near him, just the ball slipping out of his hand. 5 turns. They lost 3 fumbles. He had 2 interceptions late as well. The first one, the interception from McKinstry, was impeccable and really good, and he made a great play in coverage to fair for the second one as well. Scatterbo had fumbling problems, and Slayton did as well. So one which was returned for a touchdown. So the Giants kind of made their own kind of downfall, really.
I think it was crazy as well. They started so well, obviously with Theo Johnson and that, and it just felt like, I think what got underplayed last week was how good the defense played against the Chargers, and I think they helped them win the game. While it was the opposite today, the same time, they didn't sack him once. I don't think they even got that many pressures. So
one quarterback hit. Yeah,
there was a quote in Spencer Rattler's press conference on Thursday about the Giants' defense. On the back end, they don't do as much as what we've seen from other teams disguise-wise. They've got wrinkles, but they run what they do well, and they did nothing to assuage that opinion against him. Like, if the opposing quarterback coming into the game is saying, like, you've got a vanilla defense, surely you try and mix things up a little. Yeah. And they just don't seem
I think a fancy game that I went for Shaheed just because any team against the Giants just get huge play after huge play, and he's like the ultimate huge player. So he had a big game.
4 for 114 and the touchdown. 87-yard bomb. Love to see that from Rashid Shaheed.
There's a very fun new thing to do if you're on Twitter or Blue Sky on Giants games. Just search for Scatterbo runs like. So here's some of the examples from yesterday. Scatterbo runs like all he wants for Christmas is stage 3 CTE. Scatterbo runs like he just shotgunned a Bud Light in a muddy river littered with broken glass. Cam Scatterbo looks like he runs on Mountain Dew and Zins. Scatterbo runs like how Stone Cold ran in The Longest Yard. You'll get a lot of great metaphors from people. Oh, sorry, one last one. Cam Scatterbo runs like Crash Bandicoot.
Wow, nice.
Worth a read. Just Scatterbo run like, and you'll see people's very creative thoughts every Sunday.
I certainly wouldn't type in New York runs because I might show that Blue Jays has scored 23 against them in the last 2 games. So it's not been weekend for New York.
What a bad week for New York sports. Can we have the Cam Scatterbo runs like segment every week when the Giants play, please?
I'll do my best.
Excellent. Cool. The Colts is my favourite. We've discussed that game. And I had the under. What a ludicrous decision this was. In the Texans Ravens. The Texans put up 44. And I thought the Ravens would show a bit of backbone this week. They don't have one. I was talking about Cooper Rush is good for a spot start. To be fair, they were put in a situation where they were down so big so early, not really on Cooper Rush. We're in a position to, couldn't really utilize Derrick Henry effectively. And they are a mess.
I am off the Ravens. I'm off the Ravens straight. I keep always good Ravens. I always just feel like they're just going to turn you around. I have no idea what the spread's going to be against the Rams next week.
Oh, triple. Whose line is it anyway?
Go for
I
it.
did look
I don't know
yesterday,
what
but
it
I
is,
don't
but
recall. Yeah, I'll get
because
it.
it's at home again. It's at home against the Rams.
I think it'll be more than a touchdown. I think it'll be 10.5. But he's going to be my guess.
Joe?
I'm going to say 8.5.
Close to 7.5 as it stands.
Was that all?
Yeah, I feel like maybe
It's at the home.
Might be the home factor again.
Maybe they're waiting for Lamar to get
I'm
ruled
guessing.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of my favorite bets this week. I had last Monday. I got the Texans plus 3.5. Yeah, that was a comfortable one.
And I am going to be watching that Baltimore Ravens Rams game with the UK Ravens at watch party in Manchester. So yeah, that should be fun.
And they have said they are exploring all options at quarterback, so it might be a Snoop Huntley game. Pro Bowl quarterback.
Nice. Maybe more in line to obviously what they usually run, I guess, with Lamar. That's obviously not quite to the level, but cool. Baltimore best. Texans, all that text too. They had some offensive output the week before against the Panthers, exploded offensively. Can we take too much away from this and think, that's going to help the Texans right their offensive issues, or is it just they played the Titans who were trash and they've played this Ravens defense that is?
I was going to say the next 3 games are Seahawks, 49ers, Broncos. Maybe 3 of the top 5, maybe 10 defenses this year. So if they had, exactly. If they change the page, then they'll do. But I've got a feeling it's going to be struggling this next week, and then they've got the Jags. So it's a bit of a gauntlet for this Tex team the next 4 games.
Cool.
I did want to shout out, myself calling the Ravens soft 2 weeks ago, and also the NFL record was set by the Panthers last year for most points allowed in the season, 534. Do you want to take a guess at what the Ravens are on pace for through 5 games?
540 something. Worse than that.
Worse than that.
Oh, yeah. They've shipped 43 times, haven't they? Or almost 3 times. Yeah. Shit, I didn't do the math.
As Joe's not throwing out a guess, I'll just give you the answer so we're not dead airing. 602.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they're on pace to be the worst defense in NFL history by a significant margin. Indeed.
Oh, dear. Got to turn it around quick. There's a lot of hot fire Harbaugh noise coming. Obviously not now, maybe at the end of the season, but you never really thought you'd ever hear that.
Maybe all might be going.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, cool. On to Joe. So we talked about the under in Commanders Chargers already. You were missing the over, which was Patriots Bills. Cowboys is your favorite. And then the Panthers. Panthers. You took the Panthers as 1 point underdogs against the Miami Dolphins. And again, this one, Dolphins would look like they were cruising. It was 17-0 up before the Panthers kind of got going at the end of the second quarter. And then, Rico Dowdle just completely took over the game.
Yeah, I gave up on this game. I think, obviously, this was my crazy one where I had the Dolphins in the ATS, and I thought, I'm not happy with the other unders, so I just go for one which is close, which I think possible. And how the game started, I think I was messaging saying, which idiot decides to go for the team who has Bryce Young playing where you're thinking, is he going to get benched at halftime? He does similar to Jackson Dart, just drops it when he's just running around and then throws a terrible interception. And the Dolphins are 17-0 up. Waller's going crazy. He's turned back the clock 5 years. Everything's going right. And then suddenly the Dolphins stop playing how they should. I feel like the Dolphins having that Monday night win helped them, the noise to calm down. But when, we all had Rico down in our fantasy game day. We thought it was a big game just with him being the number 1. But you shouldn't be letting him running 206 yards over you. I know Kenneth Grant had a bit of a stinker. He was getting pushed around. They were basically trying to move him away. They were trying to, Dolphins were trying to stop him by being the main focal point because he was getting pushed around. And when you're playing a team, this Carolina defense team, who last year was one of the worst teams, this year in defense has not been great, especially on the run, and you get 19 rushing yards. 19 rushing yards, which is crazy. A-Chain went for 10 carries and 16 yards, to 1 carry 5 yards. Ollie Gordon, 3 carries for -2. Isn't he supposed to be like the ultimate run guy?
Well, this is what he did. Exactly the same thing he did against the Patriots when they had the lead in the second half.
Yeah.
In week 2, week 3, whenever it was. And then they just didn't run the ball. I think they ran the ball twice in the second half. And then it's just same again, like you got the lead and you're just not running the ball.
But he's supposed to be the master of that. He in that Shanahan when he was at 49ers, he was a run game coordinator. That's why the 49ers were running so well. And 49ers not doing great running, so it might be something in the water in the NFL right now that kind of offense is not working. But it's just not good enough. And you lose. This is like a terrible loss. And now 1-4. You know, the Panthers are 2-3. It's not like I've got much hope in them either. But you just cannot lose this game. And we'll look back when he gets fired about this kind of game where, you know, you're not winning. Obviously, Waddle went off 6 catches for 110 yards. I mentioned Darren Waller, 5 catches for 78 with a touchdown. Achane got a touchdown. And it just like you said, they just stopped. They had the lead and then just didn't hardly score after that. They went in after halftime. They went punt, 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 punt. Then they got a touchdown, and then they let the Carolina go 8 plays, 83 yards. And I think Bryson did have some good throws. The touchdown to Leggett was a great throw, and he certainly stepped up and certainly going to keep his job for the next few weeks now. And certainly helps them because I think if they got blew out as well, there might have been some calls for that head coach to be fired. He felt like whoever lost he was going to be one of the favorites to get fired early. And yeah, just a putrid Dolphins team. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, I don't know I don't know how much long McDaniel's going to get here. Sorry, I think it's maybe a couple of weeks max. So Gaze and Flores were fired at the end of their 3rd seasons, but the owner, who Mike McDaniel, came out in a press conference today and said he was really frustrated. Stephen Ross, the owner, fired Philbin after a 1-3 start in his 4th season, and Tony Soprano after a 4-9 start in his 4th year. McDaniel is not making it. Mm-hmm. I don't think.
And it's just silly things like I always feel like teams how good they are when the Panthers scored. I had no confidence that the Dolphins would go up and get a field goal. Obviously, they went 3 and out and then punted it back, and then it was just a silly penalty from Jones, which it was pass interference. It was just these teams you just have no confidence in, and it feels like it's a whole organization thing. And it's a bit like, where are you going to go from here? This team is. Obviously, with Tyreek being out, could they be traded some of them defensive pieces, some of the up front? What do you do with Tua? Because you bring Mike McDaniels in to fix Tua, and he certainly helped the first year, but and they paid him all that money. It's just a strange one for the Dolphins where who knows where they go from here.
I used to say fast track to the number 1 pick. Well, there's the Jets there. There's teams that are off. There's a lot of teams there.
It's not like the Panthers are an amazing team either. Yeah. So it's
yeah, excellent. And then
just point out this is where the 40-1 one came from. This was Rico Dowd to have the most rushing yards on the day, 206. I think the number was 205, 206. Yeah, 40-1. So figured to give the detail on that one.
Biggest bet of the season so far. Well done, Byron.
Cheers,
probably tough to beat that one, I think. 40-1.
We've got 150-1 Rico Dowd, Roma Dunze.
Sitting
out in the ether, you know.
I meant like week to week one. So.
Oh, week to week, yeah. We'll try and beat it next week anyway. So
excellent, good work. And Phil had the Lions as his favourite, and then he had the Browns as his underdog, which obviously got killed at the very end. Giants, Saints over. What score did that finish? That night? Just one short, 26-14. Yeah. Or 2 short, I guess. And then under in Titans, Cardinals, like you, Byron. So 1-3 from the guest, and then Byron's leading the way. 2 games clear and 2.5 games. Is it 2 games clear? Yeah, 2 games clear with Joe. We'll roll on to next week and try and hit one. ATS, we've actually covered all the games because of the buys and stuff, so we've touched on every game. But I suppose key ones. We'll just point out the single winners, people who's riding solo. So Just Joe on the Saints as a favourite, and then Byron had a run of 3. Just him on the Broncos, Panthers, and Texans. Just Joe on the Titans, just me on the Bucks, and then just Byron on the New England Patriots. So I think it was
a lot of away teams there. Covered in the afternoon.
Yes. Yeah, big road week, wasn't it? So where were we? 5 and 8 for me, bad week for me, 8 and 5 for Byron, and then 6 and 7 for Joe. So Byron leads the way again in this. 3 games clear of me and 10 games clear of Joe. So a bit of work to do for both of us, Joe. let's have a quick look at the winning Fantasy Game Day lineup. We got multiple lineups that cashed for the first time. Not cashed a lineup since the back end of last season, and that was the first one in months. So yeah, mine and Byron's lineups cashed, and Joe missed out by a little bit. He weren't too far behind. Not too much between the three of us though. But similar builds, I think. A lot of the same players here for us in our teams. But the winner, Orange 7388, 217.78 points. Jonathan Taylor is captain, 63.2. That's what killed me. I was like right there in the early games to the top of the leaderboard, and then the 3 Jonathan Taylor touchdowns. He only went for 60 yards, didn't he? So the 3 touchdowns were a killer. Jackson Dart, the cheap quarterback option, just shot 15.5. The turnovers as well killed that from being like a 20, 21, 22 points, but still enough for the winner. Dowdle, 32.4. We all had Dowdle. Rashad White ended up having a big game in the absence of Bucky Irving. Jalen Waddle with 23. Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall with their garbage time points. And then Jake Ferguson, who had a great game for the Cowboys with 2 receiving touchdowns. So, yeah, a lot of them names are spread across our 3 teams. We just couldn't come up with the right combo.
Yeah, and funnily enough, we all had Rico Dowdle in our lineup, and he didn't make any of our 10-minute tips. But I suppose it's when Chuba Hubbard was ruled out, really, rather than I don't think Hubbard was ruled out when we recorded. So
yeah, no, for sure. We've just got then Thursday Night Football to preview.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
Give me a sec.
It's all right. I got it. Well, I just need to get the headline. It's the Eagles against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites. The over/under is 41.5. Eagles swoop on the big. I wrote this and I've worded it terribly. Eagles swoop on the Big Apple on the rebound. Giants host Eagles as NFC East takes primetime stage. Will it be bullseye or eagle eye? See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, what do we think? Eagles big favorites in this one.
Don't like the Eagles are big favorites. I like the Giants to a degree. There plus 7.5. It says plus 7 on my betting right now, so that's maybe gone down half a point. Yeah, I'm taking the Giants. I think here. I think their D front matches well with the Eagles' offensive line. And yeah, we'll see what the Eagles are going to sort in-house in the next 2 days, really, because not much time for soul searching.
I'm probably going to lean the Eagles. Yeah, the spread's not great. I think they're going to try. I wonder if this is where, again, revenge games and all that kind of stuff, where they try and give it to Barkley and try and, against his former team to, again, rub it in on a Thursday Night Football, because that's what probably all the VTs are going to be on about. And I think this defense might be a bit too much for Jackson Dart. I think everyone got a bit too overreacted with his week 1. I think he has certainly good games, but if he wants to try and run some of them games against some hard-hitting linebackers, he needs to start sliding a little bit more. But yeah, I think I'm going to probably lean the Eagles, and I might look into Barkley, but also the big place. I might look at Devontae Smith as well. A lot of yards, maybe plus 70 yards and a touchdown. I think out the 2, I think they're going to start launching and target the DBs of this Giants team.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be under on this one, under 41.5. Weirdly, I think my rule of thumb, divisional home underdogs, if you're not sure, on the side usually works out quite well early-ish in the season. And you know what, Jackson Dart, I think on the whole is impressed over 2 weeks. He's played okay. Take the chain off. That's my Jackson Dart take. Until you're winning regularly, take the chain off. That's my Jackson Dart take. Cool. That is our NFL Week 5 review. Thanks very much for joining us. Make sure you're following us. Good Teams Win Great Teams cover over on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, Overcast for the audio version of the pod, and YouTube for the video version, of course. And follow GTW_GTC over on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok to get across all our picks. You'd be smart to, because we've had a few good weeks. So it does pay to listen to Good Teams Win, Great Teams cover. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining. We'll catch you for our Week 6 preview on Friday.